Hey guys, we are back and I am so glad everybody made it again. And this is going to be, look at all this stuff. It's just going to be a crazy time. We're going to have so much fun today. Our last art project is going to be on build with personality. So we've done clay with personality and we have done draw with personality. And tonight we're going to do build with personality. So as you can see, I have so many different building blocks over here. This is going to be so much fun. All right, let's get started. We're going to talk about some different types of buildings, the process of them going up, what makes them stay up, their stability, their balance, their base is all very, very important when you are building a building. Of course it is. It has to be. All right, so we have different blocks over here. And y'all are going to get to come up with your own creation of a building, as you see one on our board here, our buildings are here, or an actual bridge like I have in front of me. We're going to talk about that in just a second. But y'all want you to use your imagination again. That's one of our key words again, imagination. And you can we have Lincoln Logs, we have some Picasso blocks, we have Legos. I know one of y'all said y'all want to do some Legos again. We have some blocks that are magnetic. And they come apart and stack together. We have some plastic blocks over here. We have our big construction blocks here, and however you want to figure this one out. And then we have some wooden blocks. So if you want to make a bridge or a building, it's going to be great. And we have these little pads for our Legos if you want to build a little house for those. So let's get started talking about this. We have where's my two bridges? We have two very, very important bridges that we're going to learn about in our video. We're going to do another little short video. This one here is the George Washington Bridge. It's found in New York City. And then we have a Golden Gate Bridge that is found in California. These are one of the most known. If anybody says, what are the most famous bridges out there? You're going to hear about these two bridges. Now these pictures here are constructions of buildings that are going up. So let's talk about that for a second. When you are building something, whether it's a house, a restaurant, a major business like these, or a bridge, the first thing that comes to mind, it's got to be stable, right? When you walk in a building, you don't want to be like, ooh, something is off here. You want to walk in with confidence and go in and go, okay, this building is going to stand up, it's not going to fall. And do you ever think about that when you walk into a building and go, wait a minute, did these people build this thing right? No. We don't think about those types of things. We just know that it's going to be standing up, right? So when you're building a bridge, it's just as important as building a bridge as building a building. These platforms right here all have to be strong, right? When you're going over a bridge, you don't ever think about, oh, is it wobbly? Is it going this direction? Is it going that? Is it swinging? No, it's firm in place. That means it has a strong base. And then one of the most important things, and you always see them working on them first, is what? Do you see them already up in the sky building from this direction? No. They start at the bottom, at a strong base. You're going to hear me say that several times. So when you get a good foundation, that means it's concrete, it's steel, it's iron, all that's working there together. You got a firm foundation, a firm base. That building's not going anywhere. Okay, you don't have to worry about when you walk into it, is it going to be swaying and you're on the 10th floor and you're looking in, no. It's got a firm foundation and it's standing straight up. Everybody, let's do a little exercise. Stand up for me. All right, let's see how stable we can be if we stand on one leg, okay? Put one foot up like a little pelican. And this is how stable. Some of y'all are kind of leaning over, that's okay. When you get a firm like this, you don't have to worry about you're going to wobble this way or you're wobbling that way, are you? No. That is what a building needs to be. These buildings here need to have a stable and a firm base. So we don't have to worry about them when we walk into them. That's what's so cool about it. And we have different books here that you're going to be able to look through. I have several on the table here. I have some more on my desk. But it says, how did they build that? This is the skyscrapers in downtown New York. And they're so tall. But you don't ever worry about when you go in them because you know that it's a very firm foundation. So let's look at some of our key words today. We've got imagination, because you are totally going to have to use your imagination again. I am working those brains the last couple of days. We're going to use our imagination. We're going to do some building. And we're going to learn about what an engineer is in our video. Construction, this is what construction is. Weight, the weight of a bridge, that has a huge effect on things. The structure of a bridge, the structure of this building is huge. There's my base word again. Got to have that firm base in anything that you build, and no matter what it is, a restaurant, a house. If you're outside and you want to do a tree house, you got to have that firm base before you can put up the sidewalls and all those types of things. It's a huge thing when it comes to balance and stability, right? You got to have materials. You're going to look at all these different materials you're going to get to use. And then there's my word again, balance. That is so, these are just huge key words that everything that we have to have all of these things to even build any of these wonderful buildings and bridges. All right, so let's get to our video real quick. And we have some questions that we're going to be asking you. This is a cool little video, but I'm going to tell you, with this right here, we have some questions and answers. So do not just get in La La Land and start looking at all my blocks over here. I want you to really focus on what this lady is saying, because I'm going to ask these questions. And they are in there. There's no trick questions or anything like that. It's strictly when she says it, it's going to be an answering question, okay? And then at the very end, while you're thinking, what can I do with these blocks? I'm going to get you to jot it down on a piece of paper that's in front of you. Just a little quick sketch of what you're thinking about. And then when it's all said and done, the last question is going to be, did it even come out anywhere near what you were expecting to be? That's what my question is. Did your building creation look like what you expected? Or was it completely opposite? Or did you change your mind? Because when engineers, those are the people that are building, you're going to find that out in a second, when they get into their plans sometimes, they're like, oh, that didn't work like I thought it was going to work. So we might need to change this a little bit, and that's okay. You know, everybody does that when you're building a house. And you thought you might need that bigger bathroom, and then once you got there, you're like, I don't really need that. That's what an engineer does. They're planning, and they're building, and they're changing, and they're erasing. They're rebuilding, and that's okay. All right, so let's see if we can get this video going. And don't forget to stay focused and to listen what she's saying. You could take some notes and jot down some keywords you think they're going to be saying, or I might be on my question and answer test. Let's see if we can get this going.
Oh, hi guys! Squeaks and I were just playing with some blocks. You know, it may not seem like it, but the cities and towns that we live in are all built using the same rules as our little pretend village over here. It's just that the real ones are bigger. And one of our viewers, 6-year-old Hannah from the UK, wanted to know how some of the things that we build stay standing. So she sent us a really great question. Why are bridges so strong? Excellent question. Sometimes when a road or railroad track needs to go across something big like a river or a deep valley, experts called engineers design and build bridges to do that job. And bridges can be really busy. Take, for example, what's said to be the world's busiest bridge, the George Washington Bridge in New York City. Look at all those cars and trucks. It has to be pretty sturdy to carry so many people and cars. For a bridge to carry that much weight, it has to be built of special material like iron and steel. But it takes more than tough materials to make a strong bridge. So let's look at how bridges work. One very simple kind of bridge is called a beam bridge. When we say simple, we really do mean simple. A beam bridge can be just a log that you use to walk across a street, or put a long strip of cardboard between two short blocks. That's a beam bridge too. All bridges can hold a certain amount of weight, but what happens if we put too much weight on a beam bridge? Let's find out. It collapses. So a bridge that carries trucks and cars, which are very heavy, would have to be stronger than a bridge that carries bikes or people on foot, which are lighter. So how do we make stronger bridges? Well, over time, people have learned that certain shapes can be used to make stronger bridges. Take a look at this railroad bridge. It has to be strong because it carries trains. What shape do you see? That's right, triangles.
I remember that shape.
The fact is, triangles are really strong shapes for building. If you put force on one side of the triangle, it bends. But if you put force on its point, it keeps its shape. That's because the two sides of the triangle are pushed down by the force, and the bottom gets stretched out to both sides. Each side feels the force, but none of them bends. And this makes the triangle a really sturdy and stable shape. This is why you'll see lots of triangles and bridges, both above the part that you actually travel on, called the deck, and below it. The long string of triangles that you see in a bridge is called a truss. Trusses help a bridge spread out the weight that it has to carry. But not all bridges are made of trusses. If a bridge has to cross a really wide body of water, it might be too difficult or expensive to build a truss bridge. So engineers designed another kind of bridge called a suspension bridge. The Golden Gate Bridge in California is a great example of a suspension bridge. Suspension bridges work by using a force called tension. Tension is just pulling something tight. Suspension bridges are made of a deck that's hung or suspended from thick cables that stretch from one side of the bridge to the other. These cables are supported by tall towers and then are held down tightly or anchored on both ends. Suspension bridges are strong because the force on the bridge gets spread out. The weight of the cars or trains or horses, whatever's traveling across it, pulls on the cables, creating tension. Those cables then pull down on the towers and also pull on the anchors on either end of the bridge to hold up the deck. I could go on and on about all kinds of clever bridges, but basically, bridges are strong not only because they're made of strong materials, but also because of the smart designs dreamed up and planned by engineers. So thanks for asking, Hannah, and thank you for hanging out with us at SciShow Kids. See you next time.
All right. That was so much information, and kind of quickly. She was talking really fast, wasn't she? But those were some of our key words were in there. And this that I have made for y'all here is a kind of example that she made in there of a beam bridge. Okay? Here we go. I'm going to ask some of these questions. What is the question the girl asked in the beginning of the video? Do y'all remember what it was? What makes bridges so strong? Remember that? All right, number 2. What are the 2 famous bridges that were mentioned in this video? Hint on the board. The Golden Gate Bridge, which was in where? California. And then our George Washington Bridge, which was where? In New York City. Very good. All right, one of our key words. Experts called blank design and build bridges. Engineers. Very good. That would be a cool job, I think, to be an engineer. To see if you're driving down the road, you're like, guess what? I made that bridge. Guess what? I designed that building. That's a pretty fun, cool job. All right, what are the 2 different types of materials that are used in making bridges? She only mentioned 2, which there are so many more out there. But she mentioned what? A lot of iron and steel goes into especially making these bridges. What shape would an engineer use to make a bridge stronger than a beam bridge? Was one particular shape she talked about. A triangle. Ooh, y'all were listening. Good job. What is the word that describes pulling something tight? Tension. Very good. What are 3 types of bridges that were mentioned in the video? Now, I'm not sure if y'all remember this or y'all call all these. Do y'all remember them? It was the beam bridge, the truss bridge, and the suspension bridge. This is like a suspension bridge. It's got all this tight and it's tension. So when you cross over, you're not like boing, you know, bouncing up and down. When they pull up tight, it makes it stiff, and that means the cars just run right over it. Whoever came up with that was like brilliant. All right, so don't forget, when I pass this out, I want y'all to remember these. And the last one is, did your building creation look like what you expected? So I'm going to give you just a few minutes to draw on the paper that's in front of you. If it's a bridge, you can just put building, or you can write bridge, or you can just put a little small sketch, and it might be something that you even come out with. You might enjoy doing that, or like, oh, I'm going to change it up. Whatever that you want to do. But here is my beam bridge that I'm going to show y'all. And remember in the video, she stacked stuff on it? Because this is like the firm foundation. There's only 2 bases, right? I would think, maybe some more bases need to be in there. But this is what a simple beam bridge would be. So you have to be very careful on how much weight that you would put on these beam bridges, right? Because it could very easily topple over. Let's see how much we can get on there before it starts wanting to topple over. I must have did a good job putting this thing together. Uh-oh. sure when we're building, and it's okay if it topples over the first time, because I just want to show you this Lego. I never could get this Lego one right. My house, this is the top of my house, it just would never stay on there right, because I did not have it firm on both sides. It didn't matter what I did, something I was doing wrong, which is part of designing. You know, when you're starting out, you're not sure how things are gonna go. I mean, do I need to use this type of material? Look, it just wouldn't go together. So this is a house that some of our people prior did, and this is a very cool one. They started out and they made it crisscross, and they thought this out, this process. It's gonna be two stories. And they got all their blocks just right in place, so I can sit here and do this and do that. It's not gonna fall apart. They did a wonderful job. So, let's get going and making y'all's creations. And like I said, you can come over here and you'll be able to use any of these blocks. You could mix them together like I did. You can just use the big blocks. You can just use the wooden blocks. We have these over here, or make nothing but just a simple Lego creation. All right, so y'all get busy.